Yes guys, how you doing? Welcome back to the Spurs Talk Show. I am Sean Butler, but there's the one that you came to see. Bugsy Malone. She's in a really weird mood today. I think maybe it's down to the fact that it's game day. It is the best day of the week. It's Tottenham travelled to Stamford Bridge for Chelsea. Now we are going to do a preview show, I think at 4 o'clock today about that. So I'm not going to talk about that today. It's the Tottenham update, Tottenham transfer news, views and clues for you. But just to give you a little bit of a head start on my feelings about tonight, I think we're going to win. I know that the history books says 1 win in 33 years, so it's unlikely. They are our bogey team, if you like, or at least Stamford Bridge is the place that is a bogey destination. But I've just got a feeling, you know, they're down to 9 recognised first-team players, 14 injuries, riddled with injuries, very volatile form. You never know which version of Chelsea turns up. And I know this might sound crazy, but Chelsea are only 5 points away from 7th spot, which would get them Conference League football, with a game in hand over Newcastle, tonight being the game in hand. If they win, they go 2 points behind, which puts them right in there for a Conference League European qualification conversation. And I'm not sure they want to qualify, because if they do, and they go on all the way to win it, they would only bring in about 13 million quid in revenue. But they would also have to adhere to the 80% UEFA PSR rules next year. And I remember back when they qualified for the Carabao Cup final, there was lots of journalists at the Telegraph and the Independent and, you know, big name publications saying that they don't really, like, they stand to lose a lot more than they gain from qualifying for the Conference League, because they will breach PSR rules and then face certain situations with UEFA. So it'd be interesting to see what happens. I don't know what the motives are for Chelsea, but surely they'll still want to beat us. I don't know. Either way, I think we're going to do it. Let's get on to today's transfer news, views and clues. But guys, if you are new around these here parts, hit the subscribe button for me. If you like the video, if you like the content generally, then hit the like button for me. Your like game is phenomenal. Every time I ask you to go out and smash it out of the park, you hit it out of the country. You hit it out of the planet. It's ecosystem busting like games from you guys. I really appreciate it. Hit the notification bell and drop a comment. Let me know your thoughts on today's topic. And look, story out in the Independent saying that Andrew's already identified his 3 players. And it's the 3 players, you know, I've been saying we need 3 positions improved for the first team, and then 3 or 4 improved for squad rotation levels. And the 3 positions are a 6, a 9 and a winger. And the Independent has said today that the 3 players that fit those positions, or the 3 players that he really wants to go after, and he names them, or they named them, and they are Raphinha, Conor Gallagher, and Santiago Gimenez. Now, yesterday we did a video on Santiago Gimenez. Well, I've done about 10 videos on Santiago Gimenez. As I say, I really like the player. I think he's brilliant. I think he's 2-footed, can head the ball, good in the air, good vision, come back and connects play. The only question mark for me is, first of all, what's the cause of his sort of dropping off of form of late in the Eredivisie? He hasn't done as well in the second half of the season as he has done for the first half and the previous season. Also, just a general question mark around players coming from the Dutch league, Vincent Janssen, Steven Bergwijn, yada yada yada. Do they translate? Do they make the transition? And of course, you don't know that until you know that. But that's the story still. Santiago Gimenez. We've done loads of videos. If you want to look at the stats, check out. Just look at my timeline. There's probably one in the last week where I've done stats review on Santiago Gimenez. But even the club apparently started to play down that story yesterday, saying that there was nothing to the fact that he was at Tottenham for the Arsenal game, and maybe distancing themselves a little bit. But, you know, I think they might just be playing smoke screens and things. So let's assume that he's on the cards. Are you okay with Santiago Gimenez? I am. I think it will be an interesting signing, a good player, someone that can hopefully, with so much age on his side, can really be a long-term solution for Tottenham. The other 2, Raphinha, well, look, he is it's a surprising name. I'm not sure whether you parked Raphinha in the statement signing bucket or just very expensive, good quality player. But in terms of like output, in terms of goals, assists, conversions, XG, all that stuff, he's 99 percentile for a lot of it. You know, he really does score more goals and assists and all that stuff than any other winger in the top 5 leagues. He's a brilliant player. His take on, what's interesting is you think of him as a take-on specialist, but statistically this year, he's only been successful with 50% of his take-ons, which puts him at about the 70 percentile mark relative to other wingers at successful take-ons. And I think being a successful take-on specialist is something that you're looking for. And I do generally think of him as that sort of player, but the stats suggest that that's probably one of the weaker areas of his game relative to other wingers across the top 5 leagues. Because in every other department, he is a sort of 95th to 99th percentile type of player. If we're looking to spread the goals around, get more output from wingers than we currently get from Timo Werner or Brennan Johnson or Kulusevski, then Raphinha is certainly a really, really impressive player and can do that. I really like him. I wouldn't say he's my first choice, though, to be honest. I think you're going to spend a lot of money on him. And I think that, for me, I don't know, he turned us down before. Not that I've got a problem with that, because most players who don't have a connection to Tottenham would always prefer Barcelona over Tottenham Hotspur. It makes sense. But I don't know whether the shine has come off of his title a little bit. I'm not sure if he's quite the player in, like, at least the accolade, the brand of Raphinha is not quite as shiny as it was before he made that move. So, but listen, he's still a fantastic player, and he still massively improves us. If that's where Ange wants to spend his money, then I'm okay with it. He plays him on the right-hand side for Barcelona more often than not, and I don't know whether Tottenham are looking for a versatile winger that can do a bit of both, right and left, and come central if necessary, or whether we're going to go for, you know, something more specific to a right-hand side. If we are, then does that tell you that Brennan Johnson is going to be repositioned mainly to the left-hand side next season? Does it tell you that Timo Werner is going to be signed on a permanent deal? How do you feel about that? What does that mean for Brian Hill? We're assuming he's out the door. I'm not sure. As I say, for me, I don't mind it. If we get him, I'll be on board. I'll be excited by the prospect of seeing Raphinha at Tottenham, because I do think he is a top tier player. Just be interested to know what that means for our wage bill, what that means for the budgets. But I personally would probably rather see Nico Williams come in, if I'm entirely honest. I'm still very much on board with Antonio Nusa, that we can resurrect that deal. I'd like to see him come in. You know, there's a lot of wingers that I like, and Raphinha is only one of them. He's not certainly head and shoulders above anybody else. Let me know your thoughts, guys. And the third and final player name that's come out of that report, guys, is, of course, Conor Gallagher. Sorry for me jumping ahead to my car. There were some traffic problems with Bugsy. But Conor Gallagher, a name that's been banded around since the end of the summer transfer window. We tried to get it done on deadline day. Didn't happen. You know there's truth to it, because the story just won't go away. And for me, look, I've kind of flip-flopped a little bit on my take on Conor Gallagher. I never really know how I feel about it, because I can see some value in the idea. I do like the player, but whether I like him for Tottenham, do I see him massively improving us for next summer? Not really. Do I see his obvious position in the team? Not really. I feel like he is a jack of all trades rather than a master of one. And if we're looking for a midfielder that can play in the sixth, then as I said 100 times now, I think that you have to pick someone who is a master of one, and he isn't. Sometimes I look at him and think he's, an absolute workhorse, who's versatile, skill set, and if you're looking for people with heart and desire and passion and that will fight for you, fight for the cause, then Conor Gallagher is certainly the guy. But I'll tell you what, if you look at Twitter or Chelsea, social channels, you'll be hard pushed to find a Chelsea fan who is against the idea of Conor Gallagher leaving the club, period. You might find some that are against the idea of him coming to Tottenham, and you might find some that like him and value his passion and value the fact that he bleeds blue and all that stuff. But you'll be very hard pushed to find people that are completely against the idea of him leaving and that wax lyrical about him and say he's just absolutely, he has to stay at the club. 90% of Chelsea fans that I know and speak to and see are okay with the idea of him not being a Chelsea player. And that, to me, is a bit of an issue, right? If he's not good enough for them, then the only way he's good enough for us is if it's a horses for courses or, a best fit, square pegs for square holes situation. And I just don't think it is. I look at Conor Gallagher when he goes and wins the ball back and then he does a lot of sideways passing. Is he just a bit of like a Harry Winks on steroids at times with a bit more of a work engine? Maybe I'm being cruel to him. Maybe he really is a good player. I mean, he scored an absolute belter of a goal the other night. I think it was against Everton. Or was it against Aston Villa? I think it was against Aston Villa. He's definitely a talented player. And that's just, I guess this is where I'm always kind of 50-50 on it. I go back and forth from, being okay with the idea to not. I just feel like he is He's good but not great. Does he massively elevate us above Bentancur? Does he massively elevate us above Bissouma? If we are to bring someone like him in, is that then complete the midfield? Do we then not need a monster six in the eyes of Postecoglou? And that's a concern for me. But look, he's picking the team. He knows his system better than I do. So, you know, of course I'll trust him. I don't know. I also don't like the idea of helping Chelsea out of a hole, getting them out of a hole with their PSR FFP thing. And that's what we're doing in that regard, you know. And Chelsea will be better next year. So by helping them out, are we really helping ourselves out? It would be different if it was a player that absolutely fit the bill for us, but I don't think he does. But those are the three names: Conor Gallagher, Raphinha, and Santiago Gimenez. If those were the three, how do you feel? You know, I play this game on WhatsApp a lot. You know, I say to people that are kind of more glass half empty, I say, I don't think we're far away. If we go and sign a Gimenez, a Nico Williams, and a Palhinha, how do you feel? And everybody, no matter how pessimistic they may be about Ange, they'll go, well, if we do that, then brilliant, absolutely brilliant. 3 statement signings, and then you go and dribble in a couple of options like a Lloyd Kelly at left-sided centre-back, a Kyle Walker-Peters because of the homegrown, home-trained, locally trained thing for Europe, and a goalkeeper. And Tottenham have got the ability to compete. So I'd love it if we could get those 3. You know, Nico Williams, Gimenez, and a Palhinha, or an Edison, or even a João Gomez. I'm on board with it. But a Conor Gallagher and a Raphinha and a Gimenez, I still think that's pretty good business. It's just not the 3 that I would choose. Are they the 3 that you would choose? Let me know, guys. Short ones that I think. But I'm going to round off, and I'll see you at 4 o'clock. And then I'll see you for a post-match fan show, reaction show. See if I can get some boys on for that one. Like, subscribe, and comment, guys. Have a wonderful Thursday. It's game day. Come on, you Spurs.